Right now we have a new Pope, and he's from the United States. We're going to examine what we know and what we can expect from Pope Leo XIV. Plus, we're going to look back on what was a busy week in Georgia politics, and it's setting up for a wild midterm election for next year. And everything you need to know about 511. This is The Take. Let's get it. Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines. We look at the why and the how of stories and how they're impacting you and your communities. We then invite the experts in to give their take on the top stories and tell us what they know and try to share a little bit of fun as well. This morning, Pope Leo XIV is celebrating his first Mass after his historic election as the first North American Pope. He met with the cardinals who chose him to lead the Catholic Church and follow in the Pope Francis's reform-minded footsteps. The new Pope addressed the crowds of thousands Thursday outside of St. Peter's in Italian and Spanish, but not in English. He offered his blessings for those who know him for his guidance and leadership for the Catholic Church.
I should also like this greeting of peace to enter our hearts and your families, and to all those people, wherever they are, all peoples throughout the world. Peace be with you.
Pope Leo plans to deliver his first blessing Sunday at noon. He will then hold an audience with the media on Monday in the Vatican Auditorium. Joining us now on this historic conclave is Professor Susan Reynolds with the Emory School of Theology. So glad you are joining us. I know you're excited.
Great to be with you this morning.
Yeah, excited, right?
Very excited and stunned.
To say historic is very overwhelming, right? How shocked are you about this election?
My jaw was on the floor. I simply could not believe it. The idea that we have a North American Pope, something that people said since, they've said it's not possible, truly, that America, the Pope should not come from the United States of America. America has enough political power. No, we will not have a U.S. Pope. I'm shocked.
I think we all are. Nobody kind of saw this coming here. Talk to me about Leo and his ideology.
Sure. So he is somebody who is very trusted by Pope Francis. I think we can expect him to be somebody who will sort of continue Pope Francis's vision for the church and also his vision for the institution of the Vatican itself. We got a sense of this during his opening address yesterday, but we can also tell this from his biographical details. Although he was born in Chicago, he spent the majority of his ministry in Peru, working in Peru. He's also now been in Rome for a very long time. So he's a transnational figure. He's North American. He's spent a great deal of time. In fact, he's a naturalized citizen of Peru as well. He has a great deal of experience within the Vatican. He speaks multiple languages. He's in some way kind of a global citizen that I think will serve the church well in being a bridge builder and a source of unity.
Susan, try to take us into the conclave a little bit. Like, what was the thinking? Now, this seemingly to us may have been a very quick vote. What was the thinking behind the cardinals in naming this new pope?
Well, that's a source of real speculation, and you're right. It did seem to be a shorter conclave. There was some thought that perhaps this conclave would take longer because so many of the cardinals were new to the process, but also were new to one another. It's a far more global college of cardinals than we've ever seen before. It was the largest conclave that has ever happened in history by far. And so there was a sense that for a number of reasons, this could be a longer process. They might have trouble reaching a kind of consensus because unlike, let's say, after the death of John Paul II, there was no obvious successor. Mm-hmm. We were all very surprised to see white smoke early yesterday afternoon. I think that even though Provost, now Pope Leo, he was on a number of lists, but I don't think he was really high on anyone's list, primarily because of the fact that he was born in the United States. But in fact, to put it very baldly, he checks a number of boxes. He has administrative experience within the Vatican. He was somebody who Pope Francis promoted and trusted very much. He has pastoral experience, he has missionary experience. He's somebody who is really seen as a figure of solidarity with the margins, particularly for the years and years that he spent in Peru. He has the linguistic experience. He's a very diplomatic person. He's seen as a leader among his peers. I think in a certain way, when you take a step back, it's very possible that, the cardinals saw him quite early on as a real contender.
Tell us, why hasn't there not been a pope from the United States up until now?
Well, it's a great question. The United States is a very young church. I mean, when you think about a 2,000-year institution, Catholicism has been in the Americas for, half a millennium, 500 years. In the United States as a country, I mean, United States is a young country in the course of the world, and Catholicism here in the U.S. Was really a profound minority. The United States was and in many ways kind of continues to be by default, in many people's minds, a sort of white Protestant country. Catholics in many parts of the United States were persecuted quite significantly. Catholics set up an entirely parallel school system, the Catholic school system, which is the largest private school system in the entire world, in part because they were quite literally shut out of public schools for a long time, particularly during these waves of Catholic immigration from Europe. And so Catholicism has always been sort of a funny animal here in the United States. And on the global scale, it's seen as also kind of an anomaly, something interesting, because Catholicism has always had to exist in this very pluralistic context within the United States. And so the way that American Catholics are, particularly in public life, in political life, is different than, for example, in Europe. It was also seen that America just simply on a global stage had, at least in the 20th century, quite a lot of power. And to give an American the power of the papacy, while America already possessed such a profound amount of power on the global stage, was sort of too high a concentration of power. And I think that's why Prevost, if it was going to be an American, it had to be Prevost, because he is sort of an insider outsider. Of course, as we've said many times, he is from the United States. He's from the south side of Chicago. I found the interviews with his brothers to be very dear, and his White Sox fandom. But he spent, really the majority of his adult life outside of the country. You couldn't have somebody who's such a political insider, a Cardinal Dolan, for example, of New York. He's too close to the American political machine. Gotcha. But Prevost is outside of it.
Gotcha. All right, Susan Reynolds, thank you so much for your insight. I could talk to you all day about this and get your insight on it. Thank you for joining us throughout this process as well. Appreciate you.
Happy to be here.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We're back right after this. All right, welcome back. Right now, a live look there at St. Peter's Basilica, where history was made yesterday. 69-year-old Robert Prevost, born in Chicago, attended school in my hometown of Philadelphia at Villanova University, is the first North American Pope. Joining us now is Washington correspondent Alice Barr, who is outside of the Holy Name Cathedral, the Pope's hometown of Chicago. Alice, I'm sure the Windy City is just elated over this pick. Give us a sense of how Chicago is celebrating today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a surprise, it was a joyful one, and we just spoke to some folks who were headed inside. There's a special Thanksgiving Mass that's ongoing right now in the Holy Name Cathedral behind me. And so we spoke to a couple people who just talked about being moved to come over here and to be in community and to be praying for their Pope, but also about what they see in this moment of his being the first American Pope and the potential there for this country and for the world, for the Catholic world and beyond, beyond to be kind of a unifier in this time. You know, a couple of them spoke about how there are a lot of divisions politically in the U.S. right now, and that maybe having someone in this position from the United States could give Americans a different reason to rally around somebody. And one of the people we spoke to also is a deacon in the Catholic Church himself and has served in Latin America and serves with people who are underprivileged, something that was certainly a focus of Pope Francis's papacy and something that we've already heard Pope Leo speaking about in his first appearances. He's very hopeful that that is going to remain a focus of this papacy for Pope Leo, and spoke about how the fact that he did not speak in English yesterday during his first appearance, he spoke in Italian, he spoke in Spanish, that was in itself a statement of kind of not putting his Americanism front and center right away. But then this morning, when he delivered his first Mass from the Vatican, he did speak in English. So he has this possibility of being an American pope, but one who has spent a lot of time overseas, a lot of time in Latin America, can draw on a lot of different global perspectives, and that's probably what landed him this very unexpected position as being the first pope in 2,000 years of Catholic history.
We did hear that the president gave his congratulations to the first American pope, of course, highlighting that. Talk to us about the White House's reaction.
Yeah, so both President Trump came out and spoke and said that this is a great honor to have an American pope. And then J.D. Vance, the vice president, also posted on social media about how this is a special time and that it's an honor to have this American pope and that it's something that all Americans can rally behind. It's a little bit interesting because there is some social media activity you can look back to before he was Pope Leo, back when he was Cardinal Prevost, where he did make some commentary that was kind of a little bit pointed toward the Trump administration. Specifically on immigration, on a couple of issues where he seemed to be taking issue with the way that President Trump and Vice President Vance had spoken. That's not something that we're hearing any pushback from either the president or the vice president about at this point. They're just celebrating this moment right now.
Any thought on the meeting or a meeting between Pope Leo and President Trump? What's your thoughts on that?
President Trump did say that he had already heard, that the White House had already heard from the Vatican, and that he expects that there will be an opportunity to meet with Pope Leo. He met with Pope Francis. No timing set yet, but that seems likely that would be coming before too long.
All right, Alice Barr in the Windy City. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. All right, it is Friday. Politics are heating up, and that means Zach Merchant, my man, is in with us to make sense of it all, of course. Co-anchor of the Georgia Vote. He now joins us in the newsroom. Busy week, right, Zach?
Always a busy week, but maybe particularly a busy week. This one, always so good to be talking with you, Chesley, every Friday morning. I look forward to our conversations, particularly after what has been, candidly, a pretty wild week in Georgia politics this week. Yep.
All right. For those that may not have been paying attention to it all, break it down for us. What's the big takeaways?
Well, look, it all starts with one man, and that is Governor Brian Kemp, because for so many weeks now, Chesley, we have been talking about what is he going to do? Is he going to enter the Senate race or not? You know that he was heavily recruited to jump into this United States Senate race. A lot of Republican political consultants, strategists, power brokers, they saw him as the party's strongest potential candidate to challenge incumbent Democrat Jon Ossoff. Well, this week, Governor Brian Kemp made his opinion known. Earlier this week on Monday, he announced he's not going to get into this race. He is not running. And that announcement, it kicked off this wild scramble of other potential Republican candidates, and it's really only just beginning.
All right, how so?
Well, look, there are a lot of other Republican potential candidates who we know, and Chesley, you and I have talked about this. There are a lot of folks who have been kind of waiting in the wings in the GOP to see what Brian Kemp does. The general consensus was that if Brian Kemp entered the race, the rest of the most serious contenders, they would stay out of this race, essentially clearing the lane for Governor Brian Kemp to focus his resources, his time, his energy on gearing up for that general election matchup against Jon Ossoff. When Brian Kemp said he would not be running, it opened the door wide open to a big field of potential candidates, and now we are already seeing some movement on that front. Congressman Buddy Carter, he's a Republican. He represents coastal Georgia. He announced yesterday he is entering the race for Senate. And we should note, his candidacy, it is something he has been thinking about for a long, long time. In fact, he first hinted at a run all the way back in May of last year on an episode of the Georgia Vote.
All right, who else is considering running?
A lot of names that you are going to be familiar with. Maybe at the top of the list, if in name recognition, if nothing else, is Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a staunch conservative representing the northwest portion of Georgia, and we talked with her earlier this week, and we asked her if she is going to announce a Senate or a governor campaign. She said she is thinking about it, which is political code for not ruling it out, but not formally announcing either. We'll see which way she breaks on this. Others include Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. He told us last week, and I think we played some of that interview on the show. I know we did on the Georgia Vote. He said he was strongly considering entering one of those two major 2026 races, either Senate or governor. Now, other people said to be considering a race include Congressman Mike Collins, also State Insurance Commissioner John King, and then you've got to keep space for the other folks who are maybe not in the rumor mill conversation right now, but Georgia's a big state. We've got a lot of politicians, and you can expect some wild cards will probably jump into this race as well.
Now, would this be considered internal, like party jockeying, or is this the kind of thing that folks should be expecting at this point?
Yeah, you're going to notice this. You don't have to be a political insider for this to come and find you. And here's a great example of this. According to FCC records, Buddy Carter has already placed ad buys worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for TV commercials going up on the air in Atlanta today. I saw one of them as I was walking over to the set here just a little bit ago. Wow. Now, he is the first serious Republican candidate to announce his Senate bid as the rest of the GOP field shakes out. But you can probably expect, as new entrants jump into this race, you're going to see more spending, more resources, because this kind of thing, it sort of takes on an arms race vibe where spending, fundraising, political, working and campaigning, it begets more of that. And this, we should end on this point because it's important. It feels like campaign season. It feels like we're just in this perpetual perma campaign mode right now. This is all for a primary that is still about a year away, and a general election that is more than a year and a half away. It is way out in the future. It doesn't feel like that right now, and you can only imagine what it is going to feel like a year from now. We're in this moment, Chesley, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, bracing ourselves for it, I guess, would be the best to say. Zach, really appreciate it, and thanks for all the insight. You can watch the Georgia Vote with Zach Merchant and Faith Jesse on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock and right here on 11Alive Plus. Hey, don't go anywhere. Plenty more stories on the take right after this. All right, welcome back to the show. This weekend, the Georgia Department of Transportation will be marking a milestone, 18 years since it launched its 511 service. Of course, that will happen on Mother's Day, Sunday, May 11th. And here joining us again is friend of the show, GDOT spokesperson Natalie Dale. Natalie, let me just say happy early Mother's Day to you, first of all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We are celebrating two things on 5/11, May 11th, not just Mother's Day, but 18 years of 511 in Georgia. And so we are live today at the Transportation Management Center, which is really not just the brain, but the heart of real-time traffic information around the state.
Wow. Talk to us about 511. Go into the details of what it was meant to be and where it is now.
Right. So just like anything that is technology-based, we have grown leaps and bounds over the past 18 years. In this building here, you'll see behind me some of the big screens that we have the morning rush hour pulled up on, and it has been a busy day. Phones ringing off the hook because we have live operators who work here in Georgia answering your calls. So when you dial 511, if you need a hero unit, if you've had a fender bender, if you are lost, if you need to know why you're stuck in congestion, the calls come here to those answering your phone in Georgia. And so we have three different ways of using the platform: the app 511 app, the website, and of course just calling 511. So we know as we turn into this busy summer construction season with paving, sometimes you need to know what the best route is, where you're going. Many different ways to use 511 24/7. So we're always here for you, a lot of times coming straight from this building.
Wow. Natalie, take us back a little bit. Now, we know all the technology that's out right now. When you first started, was it just phones? Or how was it back in 2007?
Right. So just phones. Because Atlanta had the Olympics back then. what we really sort of began to grow the 511 Center around, Transportation Management Center, around the need when the Olympics happened. So we have grown from, again, just answering the phone. And then, of course, calls have grown. Thousands and thousands of calls come into this center. Again, whether you need a hero unit, this is where your call comes in Metro Atlanta, when you need to get a hero unit dispatched to your location. So again, great people here ready to answer your questions about traffic management. When we use the app, that's a different way that we evolved. The app, you can enter, whether it's on the website or the app, the corridors that you regularly travel to get traffic alerts sent directly to you, of course, hands-free. We're not looking at our phone while we're driving, but to get those alerts sent to you so you know what's going on. Of course, we work very closely with your traffic team. We work closely with the call center here to make sure that we are working to get Atlantans where they need to go, not just Atlantans, but Georgians where they need to go. And again, not just even Georgians, those visiting our state. Anyone can call 511. Anyone can use these services who are navigating their way. This year's theme is connecting roads throughout the state of Georgia. So whether you're in Metro Atlanta, whether you're taking a beach trip this summer and you're traveling through South Georgia, this is where your call goes. This is who's going to help you here.
All right, 511 Day. How can people take part of this day? Is there going to be a big time celebration? Do we have 511 shirts we can put on? What do we have?
We want the best way we all celebrate anything together, and that's on social media. We want to know your stories. Have you had a particularly amazing experience with 511? Post about it. Get to know the site. If you've never used it before, join us in this 18th anniversary. Become a first-time user. So tag us, visit us. Again, a lot of great opportunities come through the 511 Center, and not just opportunities to help you on the road. If you want to work at GDOT, 511 Center is a great place to use that friendly Southern hospitality to help people on the roads throughout Georgia.
Sounds great. Natalie Dell at GDOT, thanks so much for joining us. And again, happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right, take care. Folks, don't go away. Back with my final take on Mother's Day when we come back. Let's enjoy today. If you count today as one of the weekend days, it's going to be the best one of the weekend because we'll be drier today. Only a 20% chance for an isolated shower or two. Most of us won't see that at all. And then here comes the rain Saturday and Sunday, unfortunately, on Mom's Day. We're looking at 68 degrees for the high temperature, so a cooler weekend on tap. Back to the 70s by Monday, but we'll hold on to an 80% chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms will be around the area. Finally drying out as we head into Wednesday and Thursday of next week, with Thursday getting up closer to the 90-degree mark. All right, before we go, my final take, we made it. It's Mom's Day weekend, and hopefully you got your plans in place for your favorite girl. A spoiler all up there, right? Although Mom's Day is meant to pamper the girl, the hardest working person in the household, the truth is it may not be all that it's hyped up to be. Hear me out. My top 5 reasons why Mom's Day is not the greatest day for her. Number 5, gifts made out of popsicle sticks and cardboard and construction paper are cute, but it's not practical. It doesn't last, you know what I mean? Number 4, some moms still receiving household appliances that really aren't for her. It's for everybody else in the house to enjoy. Number 3, let's be real about this. The day never really lives up to her expectations. Mom is hard to satisfy, but maybe that's a good thing. It makes us step up our game each year. Number 2, let's face it, breakfast in bed made by kids, very nice thought, very much appreciated, but is it gonna taste good? Likely not. I'm telling the truth. You know I'm telling the truth. Last one, number 1. In the mind of a child, Mom's Day is just a normal day. They're still going to call your name about 50,000 times. Mom, 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 mom. Regardless of all that, I hope you have a great Mother's Day and a great weekend. You know, you should probably get about 5 more days. Have a good one.